Welcome to Cooking with Andrea. Today we're going to be doing meatloaf. I've done a couple meatloafs on my channel. Right when I first started, I did a meatloaf. I've done a smoked meatloaf, but today I wanted to go back and revisit the meatloaf. Got the hamburger for a good price here. It's kind of expensive hamburger, $4.28 a pound. So I've got about a little bit over 2 pounds. So I'm just going to go ahead and put it in my bowl if I make it to the bowl. And then I'm just going to explain some of my ingredients. And then what I'm going to do is go ahead and go off camera. And then what I'm going to do is puree my onion. Like you know me, I can't tell a food lie. I have to have my onion pureed. So let me move my board here and explain my ingredients. But I will just grind them or puree them, and then I'll come back and we'll mix them together. So I'm going to take one, like small to medium onion. I have 8 pieces of garlic or cloves of garlic. I also have 2 eggs. I have 1 teaspoon of thyme. I have 1 tablespoon of beef broth. And I have 2 eggs, and then I have about 10 crackers. What I want to make with the 10 crackers is a half a cup. That's going to be my breadcrumb in my meatloaf. If I need more, I have more. So I just wanted to show you guys all the ingredients that I had here, but I want to go ahead and get these pureed so I can come back on and we can mix the meatloaf together, and then we'll get it in the oven. Okay, welcome back. So it was 10 crackers exactly that it took me to make my half a cup. And then what I did is I took my meatloaf meat, or my hamburger meat, and I just bring it up the side of the bowl as much as possible so that when I start pouring ingredients in, I can just kind of flip it and it'll get all incorporated. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my seasoning. This is 1 teaspoon of thyme. And you know, I take my time when I'm putting in my seasons. And I just put it all around so it mixes a little bit more evenly, I think. I don't know if it's true or not. That could just be the cook's crazy head. Who knows? But that's how I do it. And that's how I like to do it. And then this is my 1 tablespoon of beef bouillon. I'm just going to go ahead and just try and get it in as much as possible. I don't know, like I said, if it really helps or not, but I feel it does. And, you know, with the pureed onion and garlic, it's going to taste so delicious. And then I'm just going to go ahead and sprinkle as much as I can. You don't have to get crazy with it. It'll all come together is how I really feel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to crack my eggs and just put my egg in. And then I'm just going to take, this is my puree. Oh, look at, in my puree, I have so much juice from this onion. So the story behind this is I thought I did not like onion for the longest time. Gosh, I used to hate, even when my parents would make tacos and stuff. Always the taco seasoning, or if mom made it, it would have bigger onions, because back in the day, that's how everybody flavored things, were onions and garlic. So I thought I hated onions all these years. I actually do not hate onions. I hate the texture of an onion, because onions are one of those things. Like, and I remember my family used to use dehydrated onions. Onions are one of those things that garlic, if you keep it and cook it, it's going to get softer and softer. Onions, you have to cook quite a bit to make them that soft. And then if you use the puree, then what happens is they are totally cracked. But if you use the dehydrated ones, they always have this little crunch. So that's what I hated all these years. So here all these years I thought I hated onion. I do not hate onion. I hate the texture of onion. Love onion. So by pureeing it, I get way more onion juice than most people get in a whole big onion or 2 onions. So all I got is all my breadcrumbs are just going to go in here. Now what I'm going to do is simply just come in and start mixing it up. Come over with the meat, because I got all the seasonings, and like I said, you still have to mix your meat. But what I don't like to do with my meatloaf is over mix my meatloaf. Doesn't need that much mixture, you know, and I don't have to put any other liquid, because see, I got the liquid from the onion and the garlic pureed. Boy, it sure makes the meatloaf taste good. And then there's another seasoning. Like I used to use Italian breadcrumb seasoning. Oh, look at this though. It did not puree good enough. There's a piece of onion. If I can see the onion, it has to go away. I told you I got issues. But we already knew I had issues, so we're good. If you think your meatloaf is too wet for your preference, then go ahead and add a little bit more cracker to it. I use a half a cup of cracker mix, or I use a half a cup of, you can see on my counter, I have Progresso, and that is Italian breadcrumbs. I like to use that as well. Okay, so everything in my opinion is mixed up. Oh, it smells good. The garlic and the onion smells good, and the thyme. I can smell the thyme. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and wash my hands, and I'm going to get my counter surface cleaned off, and then we're going to put the meatloaf together. Okay, well, we're back, and this is my meatloaf. Now what I'm going to do, I just plopped it out of the bowl. Now I've got it on a piece of tin foil because I'm going to wrap my meatloaf like a jelly roll. So what I'm going to do is spread it out as even as I can. So I don't want one part to be too thick so it don't cook the same way. And then I have to go to the refrigerator, wash my hands and go to the refrigerator because I am going to put some Monterey Jack cheese in here in the center of my meatloaf. It tastes delicious when it cooks. If you don't like cheese, don't put it in. That's why I put it there. Oh, but gosh, it tastes so good. And the little bit of goodness that the cheese just offers, and a little bit of the salt that the cheese offers, and maybe even a little bit of the grease that the cheese offers, it tastes super delish. So, I have everything mixed like this. And it's so funny, you know, back in the day, before all the health scares, and now that things are mass produced, I don't really think it's good to try this hamburger, but I used to be really bad, to be honest. I would try a piece right now and see if I like the content, the salt and everything. I mean, people do eat steak tartare, but usually it's a very good cut of meat, and that's why they can eat it. So, I don't know how you feel. I'm not going to do it. I have confidence the meatloaf is going to be great. Plus, we eat meatloaf a lot in our family. We probably eat it once a month, at least. Or I always have some, and sometimes I come back and I make meatball sandwiches. So I'm just going to wash my hands. We'll get some bleach water here. And I'm going to dry my hands. And then I'm going to do two things. First, I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of lemon pepper. Not a lot. You guys know lemon pepper is my go-to. But I do like lemon pepper. But because I season with thyme, onion, and garlic, I don't need as much. And I have beef bouillon. So I don't want my food to be too salty. But two things I feel do need salt. Meat and potatoes. So this is what I'm doing. And remember, you know, seasoning is also salt and pepper at the end of the day when you go to eat your dish. So, you know, I feel you get enough there. And initially, if you have some seasonings in there, I think you'll be just fine. Okay, I shredded some cheese earlier. I have Monterey Jack and I have cheddar. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a little bit. And I'm just going to go right down the center. Just like that. Both kinds. I don't need a lot, but I think it tastes good. And this is how my mama used to make our meatloaf. So anything mom did, I can do. It's great. You know, she always made it wonderful. That's how I learned how to cook. So I think she did it that way. I'm doing it. Also, my mom is the one who taught me how to roll the meatloaf, because I used to just put it in a pan and kind of form it a little bit, make a little bump up here so it would cook that way. Mom's all, hey, if you do it this way, your whole meatloaf is not sitting in grease. And it's a roll. It's kind of cool. It stays together, nice little uniform pieces. That's enough. So I think I probably have a cup of cheese there, maybe a little bit more or less. You fill it out. And if you're not sure about this cheese thing, just add a little bit the first time you do it. I already have my oven preheated to 400 for the last 20 minutes. So we're ready to go. This is the way I do my other side of my pan. I'm going to show you. So basically, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this pan here. So I'm going to basically take my meatloaf and I'm going to bring it together like this. Like a jelly roll. Just like a jelly roll. And I'm going to get this side, and you know what? And then you're going to see me just smush him, because he'll come out perfectly round, just like this. And then my cheese doesn't fall out. And then I'm going to cut a little hole in the bottoms of the tin so that when I place it in the pan, my meatloaf won't be sitting in oil. I'm going to cut three slits. I'm going to have 3 slits on each side so it's not sitting in its grease. It's going to drain into the pan. Remember, the more lean use of hamburger, the less grease you're going to have. But in a meatloaf, I'm sorry, I don't think you need a really lean unless that's what you're into. Oh, and by the way, you can use turkey. You can make a turkey loaf too. Same direction. Just use turkey, ground turkey, or chicken. A chicken loaf like this is fine too. But back to what I was saying is I don't think you need a super lean one because you're going to drain your grease, just like when you make other things. You don't need it when you're draining your grease. But if you're not draining your grease, this is when, or when you're making a burger, maybe you want a little bit less fat because it's going to have not so much grease. So what I do is I put it in just like that. So here go the slits. And they don't have to be very big. You can actually even do it with a fork. Yep. And then what I do is I just put it in, scrunch in, and put my tinfoil just like that. And there we go. We're ready to go. It's ready to go in the oven. So I'm going to put it in for 1 hour at 400 degrees and we'll be back. Welcome back. We have our beautiful meatloaf here. Yum. It took me 1 hour and 12 minutes to cook this big boy. There's 2 pounds of hamburger here. Okay. And I'm just going to pull this off, but I opened it up, wanted you to see how it cooked. Wanted you to also see all the grease that was in the pan. That's why I use those little slits, so I don't want my meatloaf sitting in the pan. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to get my knife. I'm going to cut a little piece of it out so you guys can take a look at it. Ooh, hot, hot, hot. He just came out right now. Really hot. Okay. Let's see if I cut him. Ooh. Super, super good. Look at all that cheese inside. Look at that. That looks fantastic. That is my cheese inside. Yum. Let's go ahead and get this cut. I'm going to put this right here. And normally you should let your meat rest for a minute. Shouldn't cut it where it's steaming this hot. You can see the steam coming off of it. You see that? You want to really honestly let your meat rest for just a minute. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my little bit of macaroni and cheese out. I have a little bit of macaroni and cheese. And I have a little bit of corn. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut this and we're going to get it plated and we're going to give it a try. But this is the beautiful jelly roll circle it makes. Now, because I tilt the meatloaf up, it runs out because my husband doesn't like cheese in his. So I always give my husband this portion because there's no cheese in it, so he doesn't have to worry about it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this portion here. And I'm going to take this one out. So people who don't like the cheese, you don't have to worry about it. The circles that are cut up, the cheese will automatically drain out of it. Let me go ahead and move this now. Oops, that's a nice hunk of cheese right there. We don't want to waste that. That is goodness. Okay. Let me get this moved right over here. And like I said, you want to let your meatloaf rest for a minute. so all your cheese does not come out. But you know, we don't have a whole lot of minutes here to waste. I gotta get you guys on and off so you guys can see the goodness. And I'm just gonna take a little piece from right here. We got some really good goodness here. And I'm gonna show you how you're gonna let it cool off though, because you would not realistically cut it that hot. You do like this. We're just gonna do a little bit of mac and cheese on our platter, some gravy, and a little bit of corn. Looks fantastic. I want to show you with put a little bit of gravy on it. And this is my beautiful, beautiful meatloaf. And like I said, if you don't like the cheese, don't put the cheese in there. Leave the cheese out of it. Not everybody likes cheese. And the way I do it makes it so simple. You don't even have to worry about it. You put it in or you don't. It just means the roll will close even more. And then what you're going to do is just drizzle a little bit of gravy and you've got a nice meatloaf dinner. Okay, I'm not going to do too much gravy. And I'm going to take a bite. So I'm going to leave this plate here. And I'm going to go straight in here and I'm going to try. Okay. And I'm going to go on this side. Take a little bit of cheese. That's a lot of cheese. I don't need to take that much cheese. Absolutely fantastic. There's so much onion flavor in here. Absolutely delicious. Let's try another bite. Let's go in for a second bite. You can taste the onion, you can taste the garlic. I tell you, pureed onion is the bomb. It gives you so much flavor. It is absolutely delicious. I encourage you to try my meatloaf, please. Macaroni and cheese and some corn with some brown gravy. If you like the content, if you would please like, share, and subscribe, I'd be most grateful. Thank you, everybody. I've gotten so many more supporters. Thank you all for helping me so much. I hope you guys all have a blessed week.